Hello, this is SJ Talks in Life coming back at you with another video. If you're new to my channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, please, and thank you. We back to the drawing board here in Michigan with the weather. We've had a beautiful week. Today is April the 16th, Sunday, April the 16th, 2023. We had a wonderful week. We had a blessed week. Beautiful, beautiful sunny days and nice and warm and everything. Now it done cooled down. Back to my jacket. Got my hat because it's raining out here. And I don't have no umbrella. And the temperature's supposed to drop. And they said something about thunderstorms. I pray that we don't have no thunderstorms today. But yep, back to the old drawing board. But they say April showers, May flowers. So yeah, we really supposed to get rain in April anyways. So yep, back to the old drawing board with the weather. That's old Michigan for you. I want to, something has been really, when something comes up in my spirit, I have to talk about it. I was meditating on, um, I'm thinking about my sons, and my relationship that I have with my sons. And then I started thinking about Black women in general, as a whole, in regards to their sons, their Black sons. And I was thinking about um, how important it is for Black women to speak life on their sons. Um, I was thinking about the importance of how Black women communicate with their sons, because we have a lot of bitter Black men walking around out here. We have a lot of angry and bitter Black men. A lot of the reason why a lot of them are angry and bitter is because a lot of them had no father, but also that they are angry and bitter. A lot of it has to do with the relationship that they had with their mother. Because, like I said in my other video, I said if there's no father, then the one where I was talking about people need to stop telling people that have no children that they're selfish. That one. I mentioned in that video that if the child doesn't have a father, then there needs to be a strong mother there, a strong, positive mother. So um, when there's no father there, then the mother, the Black mother, has to step up and really, not just physically or financially, um, absolutely in those ways, but mama also has to step up in regards to the emotional health of the Black son and the spiritual well-being of the Black son, and how she communicates with her Black son. Because I noticed that a lot of these Black men, and a lot of them are on YouTube, they're angry, and a lot of that angry is rooted in their relationships with their mother. And this is what I want to talk about here today, is that Black women really, really need to start speaking life on their sons. Black women need to be more careful about how they speak to their sons, how they communicate with their Black sons. That's what I want to address, because this just come up in my spirit, and I was meditating on that, and I was thinking about my relationship with my sons, in regards to, because first of all, I've got a lot of understanding of the male psyche through my sons. I have two sons, and I didn't have daughters. I know they say that people have the tendency to raise girls, but they coddle the boys. And they said that that's a common thing in the Black community, that they coddle the boys and they raise the girls. Um, I think there is some truth to that. I do believe that there is some truth to that. Um, First of all, I think that boys are way more sensitive than girls. Girls, girls are a lot. Girls are more mentally, believe it or not, girls are more mentally stronger than boys. Boys are boys are sensitive to me. I mean, raising my two sons, they're they're sensitive. They're sensitive. I mean, there was times when they say, "Well, Mom, you're yelling at us," and I'm like, "I'm not yelling at you. What do you mean?" There was times where I didn't think I was yelling at them, but they said I was yelling at them. So, they're very sensitive in that aspect, you know. Um, so black mothers have to be really cognizant of how they communicate and how they're speaking to their sons. And a lot of black mothers, and I'm not saying all black mothers, but a lot of black mothers are guilty of speaking to their black sons in an abusive manner. I knew somebody that spoke to her son. I'm not going to mention who she is or anything, but I knew somebody that she spoke to her son in a very abusive manner, and her son winded up in prison. She was very abusive in how she spoke to her son, and her son winded up in prison. Not going to say who it is or anything like that, but I'll just say I knew someone that talked to her son abusively, and he winded up in prison. So, and a lot of times, in the black community, we have a major fatherlessness issue in the black community. It's an epidemic, and it's a huge problem in the black community. We have a major fatherlessness issue in the black community where black women are having to bear all the responsibility of bringing up the black children. And a lot of fathers have dropped the black fathers have dropped the ball. They've walked away, and they're not sharing a hand in raising their children, and all that burden and responsibility is being left on the black women. And as a result, a lot of the black women, especially in your inner cities, a lot of the black women are angry, and they're bitter, and they get upset because they're having to bear all the responsibility of raising the children on their own. Because I was angry. I was angry, and I had to channel that, redirect that into um, God, and into drawing a closer relationship with God, and just I had to redirect that into getting myself together spiritually, emotionally, um, educationally, on all levels. Just try to build myself up, get myself together on all levels. And I had to redirect that in another direction, and not direct it towards my sons, you know. And because I knew it was important for me to not walk around bitter and angry and all this kind of stuff. So I did have to redirect, and I did have to draw a close relationship with God and all this kind of stuff. That's very important. But there's a lot of black women that don't realize that. There's a lot of black women that don't realize that, and they don't understand that's what they need to do. And because of that bitterness and anger, they have the tendency to take it out on their sons. Because first of all, you done hooked up with the wrong man. And sometimes black women are not cognizant of the fact that they messed up and they got involved with the wrong man. Maybe they thought in the beginning the man was going to do right. Maybe they were so young and naive that they didn't realize that they were dealing with the wrong type of man. You know, maybe they were deceived into thinking that the man loved them and he was going to do right by them. I think a lot of us got caught up in that. But for whatever reason, the black mothers a lot of times, black single mothers a lot of times do get involved with the wrong type of men, for various different reasons. And when she is saddled with the responsibility of raising and taking care of the children, then there is a lot of bitterness and anger, especially because a lot of times they're struggling. They're struggling financially. Being a single mother is tough. It's rough. I've spoke about that many times on here because I've spent many years being a single mother. It's wear and tear on you mentally, emotionally, spiritually if you let it. It can break you down spiritually if you let it. You cannot allow it to break you down spiritually, but if you let it, it can break you down spiritually, mentally, emotionally, on all levels, on all levels. And then as a result, if a single mother is not spiritually grounded, she will continue to put herself in precarious situations and trying to search for love and affection and or someone maybe wanting a husband or wanting a father figure there for the children, you know. And um and a lot of times it is a lot of anger and bitterness that builds up if you allow it, the anger and the bitterness to build up. And a lot of times the black mothers are taking that out on the children, particularly the sons. If they have a father that was a deadbeat, walked away, or whatever the situation was, sometimes they take that out because the son is a reminder of the father. And sometimes they take that out on that anger and their frustration that they have for the father. They take it out on the son. And that is not okay. That is not okay. And as a result, they might have abusive language towards the son. And I know a lot of times black mothers, they'll say, well, you're going to be just like your father. You're not going to be you're going to be just like your father. And that is the most worst thing that you could say to your son. That is the absolute. First of all, you're not even supposed to badmouth the father around the son, to the son. First of all, that's a no-no. And that is the worst possible thing that you could say as a black mother, that you could say to your son, that they're going to be just like their father if the father is a deadbeat or whatever the situation is. That is the worst thing a black single mother can say to her son. It's like literally you're speaking death on that. In a sense you are, because the mothers have said these things to their sons, and the sons, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And the sons do, what do? They grow up and they be just like the father, if not worse. We've seen it time and time again. So mothers have to speak life. Black mothers need to speak life on their sons. I used to tell my sons, you're a good man. I told my youngest son, you're a good man. My oldest, you're a good man. I used to tell them that growing up. I used to tell my oldest son that he was smart because he had a lot of issues in school. I used to say, you're smart. He said, I don't know why people keep calling me smart. I said, and the family said it too. The family used to tell him he was smart too. I don't know why everybody keeps saying I'm smart. I said, because you are smart, Justin. That's my oldest son's name. And he's very smart. And he's not a mechanic, but he will be a mechanic. And he knows how to do engines and everything else. So I seen that in my son when he was younger. I seen that in him. We see, as mothers, you pay close attention to your kids. You see things in each one of your kids. And so I seen that in my oldest son. So I would speak down. So you're smart and everything. You're too smart to be messing around in school, not doing your work and doing this and that and other. But the problem is he just never liked school. So he could never focus. And so I used to tell both of my sons, you're a good man and all that and everything. And then both of them grew up to be fine young men. Do they have faults? Are they perfect? No, they're not perfect, and they got faults, and they've made many mistakes, as all human beings do. But at the same time, they've turned out pretty good, despite the fact that they didn't have a constant father figure in their life. But it goes back to what I was saying in the other video. They had a strong mother, strong God-fearing mother. So that's very important. And so I just think black mothers have to be very careful. You have to be very careful of what you speaking to your sons, what you're saying to your sons, um, how you're talking to them, even sometimes the tone that you use when you're talking to them, that's important too. Sometimes your tone. I know there was times I would come home and I would be tired, working and stuff, and my youngest son said, I can't remember how old he was. But he said, Mom, just because you're going through things at work don't mean you have to come home and take it out on us. And all I could say was, I'm sorry, baby. That was all I could say. Because I was like, dang, he right. He right. It's like he called me. I'm telling you, he called me out on my stuff, my youngest son. I just can't remember how old he was. But he was little. He was a little guy. And he was like, yeah, just because you're going through stuff on the job, and I probably was, don't mean you got to come home and take it out on us. you know and it's easy to do as mothers. I've done that a lot of times, because sometimes you take things out on the people that are closest to you, when you can't, especially if you in a situation to where you can't vent at work, and you can't go off on some people at work like you want to. Then that is redirected sometimes to the people that's closest to you. Well, who's, as a single mother, who's closest to you? Your kids. And so it's easy to do that. I've been guilty of that. And I know a lot of mothers are guilty of that. But my son, he checked me on that. And all I could say was, I'm sorry, baby. That was all I could say. Because I knew he was absolutely right. So it's that, we have to be careful. And then there was things, I would say things to them that, they would come back and say, well, you said this to me, Mom, and all this time and stuff. And saying, well, I'm sorry. So, and apology is important too. Don't be so prideful as a mother, that have so much pride that you can never think that you're wrong about nothing. A lot of mothers, they be so proud and everything, and they never think that, they think that the kids is wrong, but they're right about everything. None of us are right about everything. There's no person on the planet that's right about everything. And so, and be able to accept correction, because if you can't accept correction, then people don't want to fool with you if you can't accept correction. you know and so I just think it's very important as mothers, black mothers, in relation to dealing with black sons. You have to be really careful of how you speaking to your sons. Never say you're gonna be ain't like your father and all that. That's the worst thing. That's like poison. That's the worst thing that you could say to your son. And never attack their physical features, never attack, because I think that's a lot of these black men are walking around with a low self-esteem. They're walking around with self-hatred and stuff like that. It's because of what their mother said to them when they was coming up. It's a lot of things, and black girls too. You know, if black girls are getting the wrong message about, because there's a lot of colorism in the black community, which is a whole nother video. And if you telling a black girl that, or a black boy, that your dark skin is not beautiful, your dark skin is ugly and it's not acceptable and it's not beautiful, then they grow up thinking, being feeling like their dark skin is ugly and all that kind of stuff. So of course that's a whole nother video, but you got to be careful of what you speak into your kids. You never attack their physical features. You never say nothing about their skin, their hair. That's the worst thing you can do. And a lot of these mothers are doing that. And because it's too many black men are walking around here angry and bitter. And the root of that is the relationship that they had with their mother. And a lot of times, black women are guilty of not of talking to their sons abusively, and not saying the right things. Yeah, you gotta check them. You gotta check them when they need to be checked. But that doesn't mean that you have to speak to them abusively. Cussing them out and all that kind of stuff. You can't do that. You can't be sitting up there cussing your kids out. But a lot of black mothers do that. They cuss the kids out, and you guys know that they do. They cuss the kids out and all that kind of stuff, and go off on them and all that stuff, and then the boys, they your mother is as a boy, your mother is the first woman in your life. The mother is the first woman in that boy's life. And how you treat him, and how you talk to him, and the relationship that you have with him is probably going to set precedents for the rest of his life in how he views women, particularly how he views black women. If he had a bad relationship with his mother, and okay, after that, every black woman that he encounters, and that's why a lot of times they're going outside the race. The root is that the relationship that they had with their mother. If they had because we all, they bash black women and say, well, what about your black mother? But a lot of times they don't care nothing about their black mother. In a lot of cases they don't care about their black mother because their black mother was abusive to them. Their black mother was abusive. She spoke abusively to them. She took the anger that she had for the father out on the son. And that's the worst thing you can do. When I was pregnant with my youngest, I vowed to not do that. I made a vow to not do that. Because the reality is he's not his father. He is not his father. Him and his father, even though he's a part of his father, he's not his father. And you got to realize he's a part of you too. Unless you hate yourself and the father, then you ain't going to see nothing good in the child. But you have to realize that child is a part of you as well. And so the father might have did wrong. He might have been a deadbeat or whatever the situation is. But that son, it's not him. He's a different person. He's maybe a part of him, but he's not him. And it's not fair to take that out on the son. That's not okay. And it's not loving. And it's not okay. And so it's on my spirit. It's like black mothers have to start being more confident of how they're talking to their sons. Speak life on your sons. Pray with your sons and for your sons from when they're babies. And be careful how you speaking to them. Because it's going to set precedent. And that's why a lot of them are dating out of the race. Because they had a bad relationship with the mother. The mother cussed them out all the time. Called them all kind of names. Said because they didn't like the father, they said, you're going to be like your dad. And they spoke all that on the sons. As a result, the son grew up bitter. He grew up bitter as a result. And so, and as a result, he hates all black females. Well, all black females didn't hurt you. Your mother did. But that's what they do. Maybe they're reminders of the mother. Okay, so black women, that's just what was on my heart, and I was meditating on that. Black women we got to be, even when they're adults, even though now that my sons are adults, I'm still mindful of how I speak to them. I speak to my sons with respect. I don't be cussing and going off on them, and even now that they're adults, because it goes back to what I said. Males are sensitive. Males are very sensitive. They are. So you got to, even as adults, you have to be careful what you're saying to them. I give them encouragement. I give my sons encouragement. I encourage them. And I make sure that I let them know that I'm always here for them. If they need me, I'm always here for them, mentally, spiritually, and sometimes financially if I got it. And so my sons always know that I got their back, and they have my back too. That's how we roll in my family, with me and mine. They got my back, I got theirs, so they always know that their mother has their back. And I even now talk to my sons with respect, and that's what you have to do as a mother. As black mothers, be more cognizant of how you're speaking to your sons. Speak life on your sons. Bunk all that stuff that Cynthia G is saying. I think Cynthia G speaks the truth on a lot of things, but at the end of the day, she has a lot of bitterness towards black men, and she sends the message out here that black women shouldn't care about their black sons. That is the message that she sends out here, and that's the only thing that I have an issue with her, is that she sends the message to black women that they should not care about their black sons. Well, Cynthia G doesn't have any children. She has no idea what it's like to be a mother. But that is the worst thing you can do, is turn against, because she says black male worshipers. Well, what? Because a mother loving her son, she got to be a black male worshiper? I disagree with that. She doesn't have any children. She doesn't know what it's like, not bashing her for that, but she doesn't understand what it's like to be a mother, you know? So, and doesn't understand a mother's love. So bunk all that. Bunk all that Cynthia G is trying to put in y'all ear to stop loving on your sons. Don't stop loving on your sons. Keep loving on your black sons. We need to show our black sons love. And if that makes me a black male worshiper, I don't worship nobody but Jesus and Jehovah God, okay? First of all. But if loving my sons is wrong, I don't want to be right. And so we gotta love on our sons. You know, we gotta love on our sons, treat them with respect, because they got a lot. Let's face facts. They got a lot going against them out here in the world. So we wanna make sure as black mothers that, you know, we're speaking from the time that they're little babies, not just when they're little babies. You know, you're gonna speak to them cute when they're babies, but when they're coming all the way up to adulthood and beyond, till the day they die or you die, you treat and you talk to your sons and treat them with love and respect. Don't disrespect them. Don't disrespect them, because I think that is a major problem. A lot of black women don't talk to their sons right. And that's why a lot of these black men are walking around with all this bitterness. And then they're coming on YouTube and spitting all this. It's the root of it is the relationship that they had with their mother. Because some of them will let you know. Some of them will be very vocal about it and will come out and say that they didn't have a good relationship with their mother or whatever. Maybe either directly or indirectly, they'll say that. That's Tommy Sotomayor's main problem. He didn't have a good relationship with his mother. And in a lot of his content, he talked about his mother. You know, I don't know if she realized that or not, but yeah, he didn't have a good relationship with his mother growing up. He had some issues with some things that she did when he was growing up. And, you know, that's where a lot of that's the root of why he's out here on social media bashing black women, you know. And instead of drawing a close relationship with God, getting some therapy and whatever, doing all those things, they'd rather come on social media and spit venom on all black women, when all black women didn't hurt you, was your mama, you know. So you can't take it out on the whole black female race, but they do. And so that's why black women need to be more careful of how she's speaking to her black sons. And that's what I wanted to talk about. That was on my spirit. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. Hit me up in the comment section and make sure you like, subscribe, and share. And until the next video, be blessed.